everyone, Tina here. I'm back again to share another project with you. This time we're using a new die set. It's a nesting die set over at Spellbinders. It's called Mirrored Arch Labels. I love these for stash staples, I guess you can say, for backgrounds. This is a nesting die set that has 16 dies in it. I used this actually in a project a while ago, and I will link that video if you want to check it out at the end here. Okay, so we're going to be using this on our card. We're going to layer actually 3 of these together. I'm also bringing in an oldie but goodie. This is a 3D embossing folder from Spellbinders. It's called Dimensional Diamonds. I'm going to be using some florals and the vintage floral die set by Wendy Vicky. She designed this set and it's so pretty. I'll use this on my card. And then for my greeting, even though there is a hello in the vintage florals, I thought I'd bring in the For You. It's small, and I thought I'd create a little tag with one of the smaller mirror arched labels. And For You I think will fit perfectly in there. This is the Sending Sentiment stamp set from the Clear Stamp and Die of the Month Club for November of last year. So if they have this, usually if there's leftovers, Spellbinders will sell these individually. I'll link this in the description area if you guys want to check it out. Okay, so all of these on our card today, we're going to start by doing some die cutting and embossing. So with our mirrored arch labels, let's take these out. I'm going to use some mid arches and I'm going to use some Barely Peach cardstock, and we're going to layer 3 together. While we're die cutting, I'm going to take some of our florals. Let's go ahead and take these out. I created a card a while back with this too. I believe it was purple. I'll link that video at the end too, if you guys want to check it out. I think we're going to use the buds. We need some green cardstock. Let me bring in some green. And I think Peridot will work perfectly for the buds. And then of course there's some leaves. And since I think I'm going to have a colored background, so I want some white flowers. So these are the 3 buds that go with this branch. And then you have some leaves I'll cut out with my Peridot. And I'm looking at this flower here. This flower is layerable. And so I want to die cut that out with white cardstock. I'll die cut out 2. So 2 flowers and a flower bud will go good for my card today. Okay, and then while we're at the die cutting machine, let's do some embossing too. I'm going to bring in another piece of Barely Peach cardstock. This is an A2 panel, and again I'm using the Dimensional Diamonds 3D embossing folder, and I'm going to emboss a card front panel with this. So I have a little bit to do. You know the drill. I will be right back. Now we're going to do a little bit of ink blending. This is our embossed background. Normally it would go like this, like in lattice, but I was looking at the reverse side and I kind of like the reverse side with the diamonds kind of popping out. So we're going to ink blend on the very bottom here. I'm going to bring in my Picked Raspberry Distress Oxide ink. Just using one of my blending tools. I thought we would add some color, kind of fading up from the bottom. Okay, and while we have our Picked Raspberry out, I'm going to just add, for the most part, I want my blooms to be white. But I do want to add just a touch of color, at maybe at the very bottom or the edges, just for a little something. Okay, those are done. I'm going to wipe off my surface and we're going to color in our leaves. For my leaves, I'm using an ink that I don't usually use very often. I'm using Evergreen Bough. And we're going to add some to the edge of our Peridot leaves. I die cut out a lot of leaves. Of course, I don't know if I'm going to use them all, but sometimes it's always nice to have more than less. Clean off my work surface, and we're going to take our panel and adhere this to an A2 size card front. It's going to fit perfectly on here. Actually, not so perfectly. Sometimes my card bases are off, more off than my panel, so I have a little bit overhanging, you see, so I'm going to trim that off before I adhere it. Okay, to layer our flowers, it's actually very, very easy because it matches on the flower. So if you have a flower like this, this is not going to match. You just line it up. And then I'm going to pop mine up with some foam tape. Now I'm going to add the buds to my stem. For that I need some glue. And there's 3 buds here, here, and here. And I'm going to add glue behind. And then the largest I'll put on the large bud. And those are our flower buds. They kind of look like the cherry blossom trees outside. Love that. Okay, I'm going to layer all 3 of these together. We have our vellum and our white cardstock. We're just going to center them in vellum. Layer them. Actually, before I layer, I think I'm going to add some color to the very bottom of this too. I'm just going to ink blend a little bit. Kind of like what we did on our embossed background, and then I'm going to tack it to the middle. I'm going to flip this around, put some foam tape behind here, and we're going to tape it to the middle of our card base. And then I'm going to add my flowers. Kind of want to arrange them here. I think that looks really pretty. Before I add any more leaves, we're going to add our greeting because I'm afraid I'll run out of room. So let's take our mirrored arch labels. I'm going to take the second from the smallest. First, let's stamp our sentiment. We'll put this over here. I'm going to bring in my stamping positioner and a small piece of white cardstock. I have For You. Again, I'm going to use the For You from our Sending Sentiment stamp set. There's coordinating dies for the larger scripty fonts, and then there is a bar die that will cut out all these ones. But I'm using the stacked For You. I'm going to ink my greeting up with Memento. Lovely. Okay, now I'll take our small arch. I'm going to line this up and I'm going to run this through my die cut machine. So we have our little tag, and I have lots of eyelets. I picked this container up from, I think it was Michael's a long time ago. And the funny thing is it looks really neat. Let me show you. I'll close it. Look, you can see how thick it is. But they have a foam pad in here. Oops. To pop it all up. But the storage container I think will be nice if I removed each of those foam pads. It looks like a lot, but there's really not that many in there. But I'm just going to take a pink eyelet and my crocodile. I'm probably the only YouTuber that uses a crocodile. I guess I'm considered old school, but I like it. I like using my old supplies. I don't think they ever go out of style. Okay, let's add an eyelet. And I will just secure it. And that is our little tag. And then I'm going to bring in some of my Spellbinders white hemp cord or twine. It's kind of stiff, but it keeps the position of the bow. And I like that. I'm going to go ahead and tie a bow with it. Actually, I'm going to put a foam square behind here. It's easier for me to tie my bow if it's connected to something. So I'm just going to tie it real quick. And we will trim the tails. And that will be our greeting. I think that's a good spot. And then I can take my leaves and I can work around my sentiment here. Actually, I think 5 leaves is just the right amount. I'm not going to add this one. For finishing touches, or my for bells and whistles, I'm bringing in some of my pink opalescent sequins. And we're going to add some shine here. And that finishes my card today. Kind of an everyday just because card, and it's a great way to use those nesting mirrored arch labels. Great for tags, great for backgrounds, great for just about anything. But thanks so much for joining me. Have a lovely day, and we'll see you again real soon. Bye-bye.